eyes in music. And if I'm really honest, he's not only eyes in music. He, with his work, is capable of basically appearing in any of our categories. I would say eyes in design, eyes in art, even eyes in architecture. The reason for that is that the person I'm going to interview, his name is Ed Potokar. He is the perfect example of a person who has innovated himself all the time. And you see that a lot of people that are capable of innovation and have a lot of creativity are capable of surviving in any crisis. And this person managed to change professions, I should say, within the artistic disciplines many times. One time after 9/11 and the other time after the 2008 crisis. So before I start telling everything about himself, I think he should introduce maybe Ed. Can you tell me a little bit where you're from and where you grew up, just to start with?
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was there through college. I went to the Institute of Art in Cleveland, and then I moved to New York in 1982.
And so, like, I know you started as an interior designer, and which steps did you make afterwards? I know you had a big change after 9/11. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Do you want me to start from the beginning? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
We have the time.
So I went to the Institute of Art in Cleveland, and I majored in industrial design.
Yeah.
And I left there and came to New York, and oddly my first job was working for ABC Wide World of Sports, doing computer graphics, very early computer graphics at the time for the Olympics that was going on. And then I got into doing interior design for stores and restaurants. And eventually that led to architectural rendering because I could draw. And that was very lucrative for quite a while, but it got a little boring. So I decided to switch careers completely, and I went into the music business. So I started a music studio, and for 15 years I wrote music for MTV, VH1, the agencies here in New York for commercials and soundtracks and all kinds of stuff for quite a long time. And that brought me to 2001 when things took a bad turn in New York City, and things kind of dried up. So I got out of the music business, and I've always wanted to build a house. And I wanted to build my own house ever since I was a little kid. So I bought some land upstate, about 2 hours north of the city, and built that house. Then led to 2 more houses, some other buildings, and quite a bit of furniture. And that led to the present day thing. And all along I was playing music and making musical instruments.
Yeah, and that is the reason we basically wanted to meet you, because we have met one of your friends, John Bushman, who makes also the most beautiful furniture pieces around. And I was very intrigued when I heard your story that you were capable of making your own instruments, and that you like the collaboration with art, that you like to make music instruments that even look like a miro or like an art piece. And I've seen them, and they are actually, and not only that, they look like an art piece, but they're also very different. Because I know you said as a songwriter, you make your own songs, but as a listener, you kind of want to always hear something new. You want to hear experimental music, and that's what you make with your own instruments. So coming from that, can you tell me a little bit about those instruments and where people can find them and for what you use them?
Sure. Well, it started way back in probably 1977 when I met some interesting characters in Cleveland, and we had an experimental music organization. I guess you could call it a band, but we decided to make a lot of the instruments that we played, and that's when I got bitten, as they say, and I've been doing it ever since. The premise of making your own musical instrument is it will never sound like anyone else's instrument, and I really enjoy that. And I think that that's the best place to start if you want to do something different, is use something that no one else has.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and what I also like a lot, the approach you're taking, that let's say we take this table as an example. You said what comes out of nature, you like to make that the instrument, so it's dependent. I've seen the pieces, and I would suggest everybody to look at jimmyriggs.com. That's your website for the music instruments, Riggs with double G at the end. That you basically, you look at the piece of wood and you think that I want to have music out of that piece of design or art, and then it will come and get out of it, which is a very nice approach. And that's, I think, the only way that you can make a music instrument look as beautiful as it sounds. Right? I really love that approach, and it's the first time that we see that, because we have interviewed many people in the music industry already. And I think that's very special and very innovative. And then tell me a little bit, before we go to your most innovative project, the Sound Walls, about the microphones you designed. Can you tell the readers what it means and why they're different, and why people, should have a look at it?
Well, I was making all these instruments. They're electronic instruments, string instruments, percussion instruments, hybrid collection of instruments, and I wanted to do an album using only my instruments, as the sound source. And then I decided that, well, maybe I should make the microphones to record the instruments. And then I decided, well, maybe I should make the preamps to use with the microphones to record the instruments. And then finally, I was going to make the mixing board to use the preamps, to use the microphones, to use the instruments.
I think you're also an inventor.
But at some point I had to stop. So I've stopped at the preamp stage, and I'm not going to make a mixing board. But that was the premise. So I made these ribbon microphones to record with, since I'm predominantly a percussionist, and they sounded fantastic. I was very pleased with them, and I linked up with another industrial designer friend, Dave Robinson, who we collaborated, and we were bringing them to market.
And they really look like design. I mean, I'm not a singer, but I could have them as a piece of furniture. I mean, they're really cool.
Yeah, really I would say the aesthetic is Soviet Art Deco. Yes, but they do sound really lovely, and we're working on some electronics for them, and it's going quite well, better than I would have ever imagined. So that's how that all started.
Yeah, and then we're coming back to the latest innovation, the sound wall. I think that is really something for the future and for now. And I think a lot of our readers and viewers, I should say, in the magazine that are architects or artists or interior designers, they should know that this is another aspect you can integrate in a hotel room, in an office, or anywhere. What you have told me, I will give a little insight and then you can add other things to it. The sound wall is basically an extra dimension next to the paintings in a hallway or in a lobby of a hotel, next to the color of the wall, the material that's on the floor. And it allows people, when they enter a lobby of a hotel, it allows them to either make their own sounds or get natural sounds from the wall. So the person that walks in, the wall can react on the person itself. And maybe you can explain it a little bit more in detail to the people that is...
Well, I would say it's an environment, and it's incorporating musical instruments and architecture and some technology in the hopes of giving a different sense instead of walking something that's stark or gives another dimension.
Yeah.
And I think the how do you say it? I think that doing what I do, coming up with these instruments that maybe are not typical, and applying these in an atypical way into architecture, I hope is going to be, just outrageous and fantastic.
I think it's great. And for us, why I really love this subject, because it's exactly what Eisen magazine does. They look at the different collaborations. We love architecture and art together. We love, a book writer who has a music chapter on the background of each book. Right now with the digital technology, and this is like an amazing example. And I think the hotel industry or any office industry have lagged back till so far, because you always hear the same type of background music. Doesn't change. They're very trendy. They have a DJ, but there's nothing like natural sounds that can, that have a color. I mean, every music piece I can imagine has a color and has a design, but it has not been integrated as music in itself. So if people want to see more about the sound bowl and about your microphones, where can they find that? Where they can contact you?
Well, they can go to, for the microphones, they can go to Potophone.com.
Yeah.
And Soundwall, we're currently working on that. So this is...
They can contact you via or johnhushman.com,
right.
Or
johnhushman.com
via any of your other websites.
We're working on the Soundwall together. So yes, that would be the place.
I would love to be invited the first Soundwall you have installed. I would love to come and we'd love to film there.
We're having a show.
Yeah.
So it'll be coming up shortly.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mike, for the nice evening.